Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is the 1879 Cleveland Blues NL baseball season. So after a 7-year absence, Cleveland had professional baseball again. Cleveland Blues, who were also called the Cleveland Forest Cities, but the Blues was the more popular name because they had, and it was based on, they wore blue socks, and the lettering on their jerseys was in blue. So the Cleveland Blues finished in 6th place in an 8-team league in 1879. Their record was 27-55, 31 games behind the Providence Grays, who were the first place team. And they were playing, the Cleveland Blues were playing in the National League. So the National League had been established in 1876. Today, and it's still around. Today we have the two leagues, the National League and the American League, and they call the National League the Senior Circuit because it's the older league started in 1876, and the American League started in 1901. So the 1879 Cleveland Blues were playing at a new ball field, Kennard Street Park. And it was located by Sibley Street, which is currently Carnegie Avenue, Cedar Avenue, Kennard Street, which is currently East 46th Street in Cleveland, and East 55th Street. So those were the boundaries of the ball field. And it was also known as National League Park, Kennard Street Park. So it was a better, more substantial field. And the team was organized by businessman William Hollinger, and the ballpark was moving east as time was passing. The new field. So the National League, again, the Providence Grays finished in first place from Providence, Rhode Island, 59-25. So they were the champions, baseball champions of 1879. The Providence Grays. Second place team was the Boston Red Caps, who were 54-30. Third place, the Buffalo Bisons, 46-32. Fourth place, the Chicago White Stockings, 46-33. Fifth place, the Cincinnati Reds, who were 43-37. And sixth place, the Cleveland Blues, who were 27-55. Tough year. Seventh place, the Syracuse New York Stars, 22-48. And in eighth and last place, the Troy New York Trojans, who were 19-56. So for the Cleveland Blues in 1879, the regular lineup, we had Doc Kennedy as our catcher, who hit .290, 1 home run, 18 RBIs in 82 games. Kennedy was from Brooklyn, New York. He died in Grove, New York in 1920 at age 66. His career average was .260, played in 160 games. He had 53 RBIs. He played for the Cleveland Blues and the Buffalo Bisons in his career between 1879 and 1883. And unfortunately, early in the year, he broke 2 fingers. So that made things tough. Again, the catchers still weren't wearing gloves or a catcher's mask. Our first baseman was Bill Phillips, who batted .271, 0 home runs, 29 RBIs, and 15 doubles. Phillips was from St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. He was the best hitter on the team. He died in Chicago, Illinois in 1900 at age 43, fairly young. His career average was .266, 1 home run, 130 RBIs, 130 hits, and 562 runs. 1,130 hits, so he had a good career. 562 runs. He played for the Cleveland Blues, the Brooklyn Grays, and the Kansas City Cowboys between 1879 and 1888. Between 1880 and 1882, Bill Phillips led the National League in double plays. In 1881, he led the National League in games played. In 1885 and 1887, he led the American Association in putouts. And in 1886, he led the American Association in games played. They called him Silver Bill. He's the first Canadian to play Major League Baseball. He's in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. He never married. He died of syphilitic locomotor ataxia and is interred at the Graceland Cemetery in Chicago. Okay, Bill Phillips. Jack Glasscock was our second baseman. He hit 209, 0 home runs, 29 RBIs, and 9 doubles. Glasscock was a shortstop, like I said, primarily a shortstop in his career, but in 79 he was our second baseman. Glasscock's from Wheeling, West Virginia. He died in Wheeling in 1947 at age 89. For his career, he hit 290 with 2,041 hits. Tremendous career. Wow. He scored 1,163 runs. He had 372 stolen bases. He played for the Cleveland Blues, the Cincinnati Outlaws, the St. Louis Maroons, the Indianapolis Hoosiers, the New York Giants, St. Louis Browns, Louisville, Kentucky Colonels, and Washington Senators between 1879 to 1895. So this was his rookie year in a fine 16-year career. He was a National League batting champion in 1890 at .336. He was considered the best shortstop in the 1880s, the barehanded era. He led the National League in fielding percentage 7 times and led the league in assists 6 times. He led the National League in double plays 4 times and in putouts twice. He dropped out of school in 4th grade to pursue carpentry. They called him Pebbly Jack because in the infield he was always looking for small stones, which he would put in his pocket to avoid bad hop ground balls. He's the first guy from West Virginia to play Major League Baseball. In 1889, he hit for the cycle, single, double, triple, and home run. After retiring as a player, he worked as a carpenter for the rest of his working life. Jack Glasscock, a tremendous player. Tom Carey was our shortstop in 1879. He hit 239, 0 home runs, 32 RBIs, and 14 doubles. Carey was a shortstop second baseman from Brooklyn, New York. He died in San Francisco, California in 1906 at age 60. His career average was 270, 405 runs, 270 RBIs. He played for the Baltimore Marylands, the Fort Wayne, Indiana Kekiangas, the New York Mutuals, and the Baltimore Canaries, the Hartford Dark Blues, Providence Grays, and the Cleveland Blues from 1870 to 1879. So this was the end of his playing career. He was a player-manager for the Baltimore Canaries and the New York Mutuals. In 1882, he worked as an umpire. He's buried in the San Francisco National Cemetery. Tom Carey. Fred Warner was our third baseman. He hit 244, 0 home runs, 22 RBIs, 11 doubles, and 4 triples. Warner was a third baseman from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He died in Philadelphia in 1886 at age 31. Oh, very tragic. Died young. His career average was 234, 1 home run, 47 RBIs. He played for the Philadelphia Centennials, the Philadelphia Athletics, the Indianapolis Blues, the Cleveland Blues, and the Brooklyn Atlantics. And he's buried in the Woodlands Cemetery in Philadelphia. Fred Warner. George Streif was an outfielder. Again, they didn't keep track of where they played, left field, center, or right. He hit 174, 0 home runs, 15 RBIs, and 7 doubles. Streif was actually mostly a second baseman during his career, and he played all positions except pitcher and catcher. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He died in Cleveland, Ohio, here in Cleveland in 1946 at age 89. His career average was 207, 5 home runs. He scored 145 runs. He played for the Cleveland Blues, Pittsburgh Alleghenies, St. Louis Browns, Kansas City Cowboys, Chicago Browns, Pittsburgh Stogies, and back with the Cleveland Blues again and the Philadelphia Athletics. So this was his rookie year. He played from 1879 to 1885. In 1882, he hit the first Pittsburgh Pirate home run. In 1885, he recorded the most triples in one game. He hit 4. And in 1885, he was the first player to have 5 extra hits in one game. So that's really something. George Streif, he had a fine career. Bill Riley was another outfielder. Hit 143, 0 home runs, 9 RBIs, 2 doubles. Riley was from Cincinnati, Ohio. He died in Cincinnati in 1887 at age 31 or 32. His career average was 144 in 51 games, 10 RBIs. He played for the Keokuk Westerns and the Cleveland Blues from 1875 to 1879. They called him Pigtail Billy. Bill Riley. Charlie Eden was the other regular outfielder. He hit 272, 3 home runs, 34 RBIs, 31 doubles, and 7 triples. Eden was from Lexington, Kentucky, died in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1920 at age 65. He played for the Chicago White Stockings, the Cleveland Blues, the Pittsburgh Alleghenies between 1877 and 1885. In 1879, he led the league with 31 doubles. Charlie Eden. Now, the bench players included Barney Gilligan, who hit 171, 0 home runs, 11 RBIs, 6 doubles, and in 52 games. Gilligan was primarily a catcher from Cambridge, Massachusetts. He died in Lynn, Massachusetts. In 1934, at age 78, his career average was .207. He scored 217 runs, 167 RBIs. He played for the Cleveland Blues, Providence Grays, Washington Nationals, and Detroit Wolverines between 1879 and 1888. So this was the rookie year for Barney Gilligan. He was 5'6", short guy, 130 pounds. And he was the sixth of 7 children. His parents were immigrants from Northern Ireland. After his first game with the Blues, the Cleveland Leader newspaper wrote this, quote, "Gilligan caught exceedingly well, taking some fine pickups." In 1887, Gilligan was fined for binge drinking and missing a game. After his MLB career, he had 3 years in the minors. His .207 average ties for the 7th lowest among batters with at least 1,000 at-bats. After retiring as a player, he worked as a garbage collector. He died of epilepsy. He died of erysipelas. He's buried in Pine Grove Cemetery in Lynn, Massachusetts. After his first game in Cleveland, the Cleveland Leader wrote, quote, The wiry, agile little Gilligan caught the swift shoots of the big McCormick with an ease that made him a hero with the fans right from the start. Barney Gilligan. Before the game, the other players said, "He's a catcher? Humph, he doesn't look big enough." Jack Allen was another bench player. Allen hit 117, 0 home runs, 4 RBIs, 1 double, 1 triple in 16 games. Allen was a third baseman from Woodstock, Illinois. He died in Girard, Pennsylvania in 1915 at age 59. His career average was 148, 0 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 108 at-bats. He played for the Syracuse Stars and Cleveland Blues in 1879, so he just had his 1-year career. He played college baseball at Western Reserve University here in Cleveland, and he got his dental degree from the University of Pennsylvania, so he worked as a dentist for most of his working career. He just had 1 year of MLB baseball. Sonny Hoffman had an average of .0000 hits. He played 2 games and batted 6 times. Hoffman was a catcher outfielder, born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1853. The details of his death are unknown. Played for the Cleveland Blues in 1879, so this was the extent of his career. He liked horse racing and made a lot of big bets. After his last baseball game, he disappeared, and nobody knows what happened to him. He was never heard from again. So that was Sonny Hoffman. You wonder if somebody knocked him off for not paying his gambling debts. It's a mystery. Len Stockwell hit .000, 2 games, 6 at-bats, 0 hits. Stockwell was from an outfielder from Cordova, Illinois, died in Niles, California in 1905 at age 45. His career average was 136, 0 home runs, 0 RBIs, and 22 at-bats. He played for the Cleveland Blues, the Louisville, Kentucky Eclipse, and the Cleveland Spiders between 1879 and 1890. Len Stockwell. John Kelly hit .250, 1 home run, 4 at-bats. And he just had the 1 hit. Kelly was a catcher from Paterson, New Jersey. He died in Paterson in 1908 at age 49. His career average was .226, 1 home run, 106 hits. Played for the Cleveland Blues, the Baltimore Orioles, the Philadelphia Quakers, Cincinnati Outlaw Reds, and the Washington Nationals between 1879 and 1884. He was an umpire for 3 games in 1884. He's buried in the Holy Sepulchre Cemetery in Totowa, New Jersey. John Kelly. Fred Gunkel had an average of .000. He played in 1 game, 3 at-bats, and he scored a run. Gunkel was a catcher outfielder from Reading, Pennsylvania. He died in Long Beach, California in 1936 at age 79. Played for the Cleveland Blues in 1879, so he had a brief career. Just 1 game. A May 17th start, he was a catcher. made 3 errors, 7 pass balls in 3 innings, and he was switched to the outfield for the rest of the game. Fred Gunkel. Now our primary pitcher was Jim McCormick. As a hitter, he hit .220, he had 10 doubles, 2 triples, and 20 RBIs. His record as a pitcher, he won 20 games, lost 40, started 60 games, had 59 complete games, and 3 shutouts. A fine ERA of 2.42, and he pitched 546 innings. Wow, so he wasn't getting much offensive support, but just imagine all those games pitched. Jim McCormick. McCormick was a pitcher manager from Glasgow, Scotland. He died in Paterson, New Jersey in 1918 at age 61. His career record is 265 wins, 214 losses, an ERA of 2.43, 1,704 strikeouts. McCormick played for the Indianapolis Blues, the Cleveland Blues, the Cincinnati Outlaw Reds, the Providence Grays, the Chicago White Stockings, and the Pittsburgh Alleghenies between 1878 and 1887. He was the manager for the Cleveland Blues, so he was the player-manager in 1879 and also 1880 and 1882. He led the National League in wins in 1880 and 1882, and also he led the National League in ERA in 1883. He's the first Scottish player to play Major League Baseball. He was friends with Mike King Kelly and Cap Anson, 2 of the major stars of that era. He played for the 1885 Chicago team that won the pennant, and he received a silver ball as a gift. He's interred at the Laurel Grove Memorial Park in Totowa, New Jersey. Jim McCormick. And the other pitcher, there were only 2 pitchers, was Bobby Mitchell. As a hitter, he hit 147, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 6 RBIs. His record as a pitcher was 7-15 with an ERA of 3.28, 22 starts, and 20 complete games. Mitchell was from Cincinnati, Ohio. He died in Springfield, Ohio in 1933 at age 77. His record as a pitcher was 20-23 for his career with 184 strikeouts, an ERA of 3.18. Played for the Cincinnati Reds, the Cleveland Blues, the St. Louis Brown Stockings between 1877 and 1882. For his career, he had 44 starts and 40 complete games. Now I have a quote here from Walt Whitman that I thought was appropriate, the great 19th century philosopher and poet here in the United States, and he said this, quote, "I see great things in baseball. It's our game, the American game. It will take our people out of doors, fill them with oxygen, give them a larger stoicism, tend to relieve us a nervous dyspeptic set. Repair these losses, be a blessing to us." Now, I started reading yesterday a book called Of Tribes and Tribulations, The Early Decades of the Cleveland Indians by James E. Odenkirk, 2015. And there's a reference to the 1869 Cleveland Forest City baseball team. So we're going to back up a little bit. In July of 1869, native Ohioan President Ulysses S. Grant invited the Cleveland Forest City baseball team to the White House. And while they were visiting, he said this, quote, "Boys," said the chief executive, "I have never seen a game. I haven't had time, but I know a great deal about the game. Let me prove it to you. I'll call the positions and then let each man step forward as his position is named. Catcher," and Jim White stood out. "Pitcher." Pratt answered, "First base." The president called 8 men into line. "Wait a minute," he said. "There are 9 men on the team. Hold on. There's the shortstop." Turning to W.R. Rose, 5 feet 6 inches tall, and acting as cashier for the team, he put his arm around the young man's shoulders and exclaimed, "This must be the shortstop." So President Grant called the 1869 Cleveland Forest City's, quote, "the most gentlemanly club in the country." He walked them, after their visit, he walked them to the door, puffing on his black cigar. So that was a real nice story from this book by James E. Odenkirk. So the 1879 Cleveland Blues. It was wonderful having a professional team back in Cleveland, professional baseball team after a 7-year absence. God bless all the fellows who played for the Cleveland Blues in 1879, and God bless everyone else associated with the team, including the fans, especially the Civil War veterans who had made baseball America's favorite pastime. Captains of the Cuyahoga, lovers of Lake Erie Terminal Tower Power, fans of the Free Stamp statue. It's been 70 years since 1948. This is our year. Tribe Browns and Cavs rule Cleveland, city of champions. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.